Composite resins, clinical technique. So in the previous presentation, we talked about clinical technique for anterior tooth preparation. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about the clinical technique for posterior tooth preparation and the restorative procedure. Caries affecting posterior teeth are class 1, class 2, class 5 and class 6. We've already discussed about class 5 in relation to anterior tooth preparation. The same principles are followed in case of posterior teeth. So in this presentation, we'll talk about class 1 and class 2 tooth preparation for composite resin restorations. The objective of the tooth preparation is to remove all of the carious tissues or fault as conservatively as possible. For a moderate to large class 1 direct composite restoration, if the occlusal portion of the restoration is expected to be extensive, elongated pear-shaped cutting instruments with round features are preferred because they result in strong 90-degree cavo surface margins without creating sharp internal line angles. If a round instrument is used, the resulting cavo surface margin angle may be more flared, that is, it would be more obtuse than if an elongated pear-shaped instrument is used. Either carbide or diamond instruments can be used quite effectively. It is easier to enter the distal portion first and then transverse mesially to permit better operator visibility during the preparation. So for the entry cut, the diamond or the burr is held parallel to the long axis of the crown. So in this image you can see the burr has entered about 1.5 millimeters into the enamel surface. So roughly if you measure 1.5 millimeters would be from external enamel surface to just about the DEJ. Ideally, the instrument is moved mesially along the central groove in a controlled manner to follow the rise and fall of the DEJ. So in this image, you can see the orientation of the diamond or burr. It must be tilted as the instrument is extended facially or lingually to maintain a 1.5 millimeter depth. So when you measure the depth of 1.5 millimeters throughout, it won't be a straight line in the pulpal region. It will be a curved line following the contour of the DEJ. The pulpal floor is prepared to an initial depth that is approximately 0.2 millimeters internal to the carious DEJ. So the initial cavity preparation will have approximately 90-degree cavo surface margins. When the central groove is removed, facial and lingual wall measurements usually are greater than 1.5 millimeters. The steeper the wall, the greater is the height. So here in this image you can see there is from the central groove, the entry cut has a depth of about 1.5 millimeters, which you can measure with the head of the burr. The facial and lingual walls will be about 1.75 to 2 millimeters in height. Extensions into the marginal ridges should result in at least 1.5 millimeters of remaining tooth structure measured from the internal extension to the proximal height of contour for premolars and approximately 2 millimeters for molars. These limited extensions help preserve the dentinal support of the marginal ridge, enamel and cusp tips, and thus the overall ability of the tooth to resist occlusal forces. In this image you can see this is class 1 cavity prepared on a mandibular molar. At the mesial and distal ends, a dovetail feature has been incorporated in order to enhance the retention form. You can also see the pulpal floor. The pulpal floor is not exactly flat, but it follows the elevations and depressions of the DEJ. Now next, let's take a look at class 1 cavity preparation with a buccal or a lingual extension. When a groove extension is through the cusp ridge, the instrument prepares the facial or lingual portion of the faulty groove at an axial depth of 0.2 millimeters inside the DEJ and gingivally to include all caries and other defects. So in this image you can see from the occlusal surface the 1.5 millimeter extension is through the central groove, and on the axial wall the bore penetrates about 0.2 millimeters inside the DEJ, thus forming the groove extension in the facial-lingual region. This is an occlusal view of a prepared tooth with a lingual extension in case of a maxillary molar. So in the lingual region you can see the axial wall and the gingival floor, which are perpendicular to each other. So this step design should be incorporated when making a buccal or a lingual extension. Now next, moving on to class 2. For the proximal box, it is prepared with a small elongated pear-shaped or round instrument held parallel to the long axis of the tooth crown. The instrument is extended through the marginal ridge in a gingival direction, aiming at the center of the proximal carious lesion or defect. The axial depth is dictated by the extent of the caries lesion or fault. So in this image you can see this is an undermined cavo surface enamel. So when the facial, lingual and gingival margins are prepared, they may need undermined cavo surface enamel, which in this image here is indicated by dotted lines. These need to be removed with straight-sided, thin and flat-tipped rotary instrument or hand instruments. In the proximal extension, the enamel margin on the gingival floor is critical for bonding, so it should be preserved. In this image you can see the overhanging region, that is the enamel margin on the gingival floor. Any remaining soft dentine on the axial wall or on the pulpal floor is excavated as part of the final tooth preparation, which is indicated by the dotted lines. So you remove the carious lesion but preserve the enamel margin that will enable bonding. So this was the proximal box. Now the occlusal portion. For the occlusal portion of the class 2 preparation, it is prepared similar to class 1. So you can use a 245 or 330 diamond or burr, which is used to enter the pit next to the carious proximal surface. The instrument is positioned parallel with the long axis of the tooth, and the pulpal floor is initially prepared with the instrument to a depth that is approximately 0.2 millimeters inside the DEJ. Every effort should be made to keep the facial-lingual width of the preparation as narrow as possible. The initial depth is maintained during the mesiodistal movement but follows the rise and fall of the underlying DEJ. The pulpal floor is relatively flat in a facial-lingual direction but may rise and fall slightly in a mesiodistal plane. So here in this image you can see the bottom dotted line shows the rise and fall of the pulpal floor, which follows the contour of the DEJ. On the image in the right, you can see the proximal box, the extension of the axial wall in a facial lingual direction, which follows the DEJ. The gingival portion of the proximal box is left intact, that is the margins in the proximal box in the gingival region is left intact to maintain the tooth contact. So this is a prepared cavity of class 2 in a molar tooth. So the cavity design follows the fissures and grooves of the tooth, preserving the cuspal portion, in the meantime removing the carious part of the tooth. The axial wall in the proximal box is prepared parallel to the long axis of the tooth, and the gingival floor extends perpendicular to the axial wall. In the next image you can see it is a prepared class 2 cavity in a maxillary molar in a natural tooth. Following cavity preparation, the next step is the placement of matrix band. So we shall not discuss this in very much detail because matrix in detail would be discussed in a separate presentation. It's a quite lengthy topic in itself. So we'll just see some examples here. So the first image here is a sectional matrix system with wooden wedge and bite-in ring to restore the mandibular premolar with direct composite. The next image is again a sectional matrix system with a plastic wedge in a maxillary premolar being restored with direct composite. The next image is an example of anterior composite wherein a matrix is used. So in case of anterior composites, mylar strips are commonly used. So the mylar strip with concave area next to the preparation is positioned between teeth. The length of the mylar strip can be reduced as needed. And in the next image, after insertion of the composite, the matrix strip is closed and the matrix is cured through the strip. Regardless of the type of matrix system used, the matrix material should extend at least 1 millimeter beyond the gingival margin, that is gingivally, and the area corresponding to the marginal ridge of the restoration, that is occlusally. So it should be 1 millimeter gingivally and occlusally. The next step is placement of the adhesive, that is the restorative resin. So the resin is placed in multiple layers so that it is cured to a proper depth. Oblique incremental technique is used to restore proximal boxes in class 2 direct composite restorations. The number of increments will depend on the size of the proximal box. The first increment should be placed along the gingival floor and it should extend slightly up the facial wall. This increment should be only about 1 to 2 millimeters thick because it is the farthest increment from the curing light and the most critical in establishing a proper gingival seal. The second increment is then placed against the lingual wall to restore about 2/3 of the box. And the final increment is then placed to complete the proximal box and develop the marginal ridges. So for the proximal box, you can use at least 3 increments of only about 2 millimeters each. And lastly, finishing and polishing of the composite restoration. So there are a variety of instruments available for finishing and polishing. You can either use flame-shaped finishing burr in order to remove the excess and the overhangs and for contouring of the tooth shape. Abrasive discs mounted on mandrel are quite frequently used. Rubber polishing point and finishing burrs are used to enhance the contour of the prepared tooth. So this was about the clinical technique of posterior composite resins. We discussed in detail the class 1 and class 2 cavity preparation, the designs and technical considerations. We looked at some examples of the matrix system. Next we saw the placement of oblique incremental layer of composite resin restorations in the proximal box and examples of finishing and polishing instruments for composite resin restorations. I hope you have liked this presentation. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.